Hi, my name is Lori Hogenkamp. I'm an adult with autism, and I'm here to talk about autism and what's causing autism spectrum disorders. I also have a degree in psychology. I studied neuroscience, and I've been studying the brain, stress, behavior for over 20 years, and I've been studying autism for 10 years. What is now accepted about autism is that it's a gene-environment interaction. So it's no longer just a gene that is just genetic, and it's no longer just an environmental input. It's an interaction between the two. It's something inherited that makes us vulnerable to the environment. Well, I don't really see it as a vulnerability. Rather, I think it's a function that is making us vulnerable to the environment. Temple Grandin is an adult with autism that thinks there's three thinking types that she sees within the spectrum: a word thinker, a pattern thinker, and a picture thinker. Simon Baron-Cohen is a very well-known autism researcher out of the UK that believes that it's an extreme male mind. It's a high testosterone brain. It's a high systemizing brain. And that the other side, the female brain, is the high empathizing brain. So in Temple Grandin's model, the male brains would be the pattern thinkers, the female brains would be the word thinkers, and the mixed brains would be the picture thinkers. The male and female brain doesn't necessarily represent males and females, rather just how testosterone drives development in one brain and estrogen might drive development in another brain. These can be, gender-wise, either male or female.
The estrogen brain is the word thinking side of the spectrum. So it's actually the high empathizers and socially oriented kids that may be hit by an environmental impact that amplifies this version, which can make them appear as if they don't handle words well and they don't have a lot of empathy. The pattern thinking, or the testosterone side, are the high systemizers. This is your math and science, sometimes seen as higher functioning.
Leo Kanner, who first recognized autism in 1943, stated, "For the most part, the parents, grandparents, and collaterals are persons strongly preoccupied with abstractions of a scientific, literary, or artistic nature." Again, we're seeing that there are word, picture, and pattern thinkers, but here we're seeing that they're susceptible. So the parents and the grandparents may have had this inheritable quality passed on or made them vulnerable to environmental impacts. For thousands of years, we have evolved through communities. So throughout our history, we have always had communities and villages with a core majority group of stabilizing, social, community-oriented individuals that kept the community together. They were the salt of the earth. And then we always had what I call the peripheral minds, the outliers, those that needed to take in more information from their environments. They were hyper-aware and vigilant. They were the innovators, the explorers, the protectors, the athletes, the hunters, the scientists, the geeks, the artists, and the creative. They processed information differently, and they reacted to the environment differently.
Neuroanthropologist Helen Fisher describes 4 personality types: the director, the negotiator, the builder, and the explorer. And she describes them in terms of their hormone and neurotransmitter types: testosterone, estrogen, serotonin, and dopamine. These are major corresponding stress-regulating hormones as neurotransmitters as well. Orthomolecular psychiatrist Dr. Michael Lesser describes 6 different personality types, and this is my favorite way to describe the personality types and their susceptibility to autism. He describes the most common, which is the stoic, as the social-oriented, and the guardian, warrior, lover, star, and dreamers, but they are all dominated by certain neurohormone and neurotransmitter subtypes, and that each personality, when they lose homeostasis, tend towards certain outcomes. So in terms of stress, we could think of each personality as their own unique building. And so each building has their own stress susceptibility and compensation patterns that they have to engage in order to maintain their own unique homeostasis. And so there we're getting the variety and the variety of outcomes depending upon the starting points, which are the personalities.
So autism isn't caused by genetics or the environment. It's caused by the interaction. Autism is caused by a response to the environment. It's the system that's its own cause.
The reason this is a big deal is because when it comes to theories, they don't really count unless they become a model. And a model is something that you can test, that has rules, and you can test whether it's true or false and whether it creates predictability. That's what I'm seeing from the evidence. If we use chaos dynamics and stress mechanism modeling, we create predictability. We create an ability to understand how the genes and the environment are interacting in a testable method, which is currently what is lacking in biopsychosocial models.